What's up, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to the OK Preps Extra podcast. As always, me, Barry, and Patrick do a recording once a week, but sometimes we get a nice little extra surprise. And this week, this man needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. 7,175 career passing yards, 85 passing touchdowns, 28 rushing touchdowns, 950 rushing yards. That's why we're talking about senior quarterback from Pawhuska, Todd Drummond. Todd, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just got out of practice, kind of came home, got situated, ate some dinner, and just hopped on.
Well, Todd, you say dinner, and based on who your mother is, I'm gonna have to ask, what was that dinner tonight?
Chicken quesadillas tonight. It's amazing. It's one of my dad's favorite meals that she makes.
Well, what's your favorite meal that she makes?
Either just a ribeye steak or pork chops. Her pork chops were always my favorite growing up, but now that I've kind of grown up, I've started to like steak a little more.
Are you a mid-rare kind of guy? How do you like it cooked? Hopefully not well done.
Medium rare for sure. Got to get a little bit of blood going.
And so for those listening who don't know, Todd Drummond's mom is Ree Drummond, the pioneer woman, more known as. And Todd, we'll get into all that, but I want to start. Let's just chat a little bit about football, because you've kind of become a big deal in the state over the years. Your brother was, your older brother, who also played at Pawhuska. But just let's go back to the beginning. Tell me where the interest started for you.
Um, so I was in kindergarten, or no, I was in first grade, and my brother was playing football in third grade, and we didn't play football until third grade because we didn't want to play flag football. So, and you couldn't do contact back then until third grade. So I was just playing soccer and I kind of wasn't really into it. And my dad just came up to me. He was like, "Hey, do you want to play on Bryce's third grade team?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." And that was the most miserable year of my life because those kids were just so much bigger than me, hitting me. And I just never wanted to play again. And then second grade, they let first and second graders play full contact padded football. So I played on that team and realized I was kind of good at it. And I just loved it more than anything ever since.
Getting to play against those big guys, did you learn anything about yourself? Was it, how close were you to maybe saying, forget this, I'm going back to soccer?
I learned that my position was not center and nose tackle like I played that first year. And yeah, I definitely was talking to my mom one night when she was saying good night to me. I was like, I don't like football. I want to quit. She was like, well, we don't quit anything in the middle of it, right in the middle of it. So let's just do it next year and really think, and then we'll figure it out from there. And I'm glad they made me.
So you said you weren't destined to be a nose tackle. When did the interest with quarterback really start to be? When did that begin for you?
Um, it really started. My love for the position quarterback was when we were in Indianapolis in 2012, and for a cookbook signing for my mom. And we went out to eat, my dad, my brother, and I, at like this sports bar. We were just eating burgers, and the NFL draft was on. And it went first pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Andrew Luck. And everybody in that restaurant just went crazy. I was like, man, they sure are really happy about having this guy. And then they showed his highlights, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So Andrew Luck was really the first guy who kind of introduced me to quarterback, and I've just wanted to play it and loved it ever since.
Did your brother always play quarterback too? Or was he kind of like you a
Um,
little bit?
yes, my brother has always played quarterback.
So was there
Quarterback
any,
and middle linebacker, he played all through grade school.
okay. Was there any interest you seeing him do it? Did that make any difference for you, or was it really just seeing, was Andrew Luck really the reason?
Yeah, Andrew Luck was the reason. And I mean, obviously I would play catch with my brother, but just I didn't know the difference between Sikkim and come here back when I first started playing. So I really didn't even know what a quarterback was. So I enjoyed playing catch with my brother. I really wasn't good at it. I thought I was going to be a wide receiver because I used to catch really good, but I don't know. It's just, I guess, always been my thing throwing.
And so Todd, I'd be remiss if we don't get into the just your mother and everything. And you kind of got to grow up on TV a little bit, and there's been the cookbooks, like you say, and the magazines. I was walking in Walmart the other day. I saw you on the cover of the magazine in Walmart. So to kind of have that exposure, how do you take it after all these years? What do you think of, every kid dreams of I want to be on TV, but you've now done it for close to a decade. What do you think of it these days?
Definitely back when it started, I wasn't a fan of it because I was just kind of like a shy little kid and I didn't really want to do anything like that. But looking back at it, I'm so thankful for everything that I've done because that has prepared me in some sort of way to on how to act in front of a public eye and how to know how to act in public. So like when I go to college and I'm on my own, I'll be like, don't do anything that you wouldn't want to end up on TMZ or something like that. So I'm definitely really thankful for that.
Do you ever like look back and maybe rewatch an old episode just to kind of have the laugh and for nostalgic sake, or do you really not pay much attention to it anymore?
I used to a lot back when my brother and sisters were home. We used to kind of look back like Bryce's senior year, and but I can never watch them just by myself because I used to be so cringy on that show. There was like the entire first season, I would be like, "Mama, this is the best meal I've ever had." So I can't do it; it's too cringy for me.
Do you ever get recognized by obviously people are going to recognize the last name when you're playing, and especially when an opponent's playing Pawhuska, they know you're on the team. But do you ever have anybody say anything to you on the field, like an opponent make a comment to you?
Oh yeah, there's been a couple of teams that I've been playing ever since grade school who always would hit that line like your mom can't cook or something like that. And it's just I mean, I wish they come up with some more clever stuff because that's getting old after about 9 years of doing this.
And so, what do you did it ever seem too much to you? Did you ever get overwhelmed with it or nervous with it, or have you always just kind of been cool-handed about it?
I definitely haven't ever felt overwhelmed. I mean, my parents have been awesome and they always help us and just they're like, hey, this is a blessing. This is definitely nothing to just crack your head over. But I mean, as long as we just put our faith and trust in God, we know that whatever we're doing is going to work out.
So would you say family's been a big thing? I mean, we see it on the show, and for those who really enjoy watching the show, they see it. But is family always been big on like how big has family been for you through your football career? I guess that's what I'm trying to
Family,
say.
I mean, during pretty much my entire life, I mean, it's just been God up top and then family. So there's been nothing more important to me than family. And I'm very thankful for my family because of the sacrifices they've made to help me and my brother and my sisters get where we want to get in life. And my dad driving me to all those practices when I was younger and helping me get quarterback lessons and just helping me do everything I need to do, which I didn't know it back then, but he was just being super unselfish and just allowing us to do what we love. And I'm very thankful for that. And same with my mom. I mean, I'm sure when she was younger, she would have loved to spend a little more time with her kids, but we were always gone doing football or doing football lessons or working. So it's been awesome. I couldn't ask for a better family.
When you're at a smaller school like Pawhuska that has, a smaller roster, does that sense of family become bigger on the team?
Yes, sir. I think this year I could walk up to every single guy on our roster and sincerely look them in the eyes and say, I love you, man. You're my brother. And they could do the exact same thing and we mean it because we are just, I mean, we've been through hell and back together. So it's definitely an experience I wouldn't trade anything for.
To have a bond like that, how does it help you come game day with those guys?
I mean, it definitely helps like when stuff goes wrong, you know that you're not just out there alone with a bunch of teammates. You know you can lean on your brother and you can lean on your coaches and be like, hey man, I got your back, you got mine. Yeah. All right, let's go do this.
And then, to address what's going on behind you, we got the South Dakota hat on, the South Dakota flag. Was not to put words in your mouth, but was that sense of family? Did you feel that at South Dakota?
Yes, sir. I mean, I got there for my so they offered me in May and then I got there in June for my official visit. I believe it was in June. Yeah, late June for my official visit. And I mean, I got there, I met the coaches. I'd met a couple of them before, but I met the coaches and I mean, I was sold from the beginning with them. And then when I got to meet the players and some people on campus, I realized these people have a bond like I have never seen. I mean, like the players almost know everything about each other. The guys I was hanging out with, they're like, yeah, this is Denker. He's blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And just with how highly everybody I've talked to about the program speaks of it, I thought it was a no-brainer.
What else went into that decision to commit there? What set them up besides just this family aspect? What else separated them from the others, in your opinion?
They have some of the nicest facilities probably in the entire nation when it comes to FCS football. They have an amazing head coach with Coach Nielsen. He's running that offense really good too. And I mean, they've just flat out got some dudes that can play that I think I can surround myself with and set the team up for great success. And I think we can go a long way in the next 4 to 5 years.
Are you nervous for the South Dakota winters?
Yeah, I'd definitely be lying if I said I wasn't. I might have to go stop by a ski store or two to try and find some thicker coats.
What about FCS? It's a different environment than FBS. But if anything, I think FCS fans can be more dedicated than some FBS fans. Did that interest you at all when it came to commitment time?
Oh yeah, I mean the South Dakota University of South Dakota is like the OU or OSU up there. I mean, there's not a single game day with a seat empty, and it is just awesome. I mean, I went up there for a game day visit against North Dakota State, and it was insane. I mean, so loud, and they're in a dome, so all the sound really gets trapped in, and it was awesome.
And so, Todd, just moving topics a little bit here. There's some hot button issues going on in high school football right now with, kids transferring, moving in, and NIL all of a sudden has become a thing in high school. Who would have thought that 2 years ago? But, you're almost in a unique position where you're Reed Drummond's son. There are probably companies that would want to give you some sort of deal. Does NIL interest you at all at the high school level?
Honestly, no, sir, it doesn't. I really just to avoid the whole thing, I really haven't even learned anything about the high school NIL this year. I just want to win football games and make memories with my brothers and just make this last as long as it can. So I really don't have any interest for NIL at the high school level right now.
Do you think it's a good thing for kids to take advantage of?
I mean, I don't really know any details on like how it all works, so I would have to look into it more to give a more detailed answer.
I got you. And so I want to touch here lastly. I want to go through the Pawhuska season so far. You know, we're heading into week 10. Playoffs are about to start. What are your main takeaways going into the playoffs for you guys?
I mean, I think that we can get right, get healthy, and hit a perfect stride right when we start the playoffs. And I think we can make a run just about as deep as anybody. I mean, I think we have the toughest district in 2A. So honestly, I think this team just goes as far as we believe and want to, and as far as we're willing to work for.
And at the beginning of the season, obviously you guys were in a new class, right?
Yes, sir.
How was that adjustment for you?
I mean, we had a first game we played. I mean, obviously, when you have 5 new starting receivers or 4 new starting receivers and a tight end who played left guard the year before, and you're kind of trying to figure everything out, you always have like some questions going into the season. And then when we played Holland Hall, the defending back-to-back state champions in 3A, in our preseason half game, and we beat them 7-0. I'm like, all right, we've got this. And then we win our first game against Caney Valley. And then we get revenge against Cashin. I'm like, okay, my chemistry is starting to build with these guys. Then we lose a tough one to Hominy, and we just kind of got back on the rails. And I'm really proud with how this entire team has managed the jump up in class.
And so that right there, that's a daunting task. You've got a bunch of guys that you really have limited chemistry with. How do you like to go about building up a bond with them?
I mean, every day during the summer, Mondays through Fridays after workouts, Saturdays after we spend some family time, and Sundays after church, we were throwing the football or learning some plays or just hanging out. But I knew that this chemistry just wasn't going to build itself. So during track season, all my receivers are in track, and my tight end and running back. And I was just like, all right, guys, look, let's not kid ourselves. We don't have Mason Gilkey anymore or Dalton Hurd. So we have to make the best and do the best with what we have. And hats off to my guys. I mean, this is probably the hardest working group of receivers I've ever had. And I'm just really thankful that they would take away almost their entire summer to get better at this. So it was awesome building chemistry with them, and I've made some lifelong friends because of it.
Todd, this might be a goofy question, but are there ever team dinners at your house?
No, we normally hold team dinners at a church somewhere in town. We normally alternate churches, but I'm sure some people wouldn't be too opposed to that. But we do eat pre-game meals at my mom's restaurant most of the time.
So she's preparing the food for you guys before games?
I wouldn't say it's her, but it's her recipes.
I gotcha. Well, Todd, I think that's all I've got for you. I really appreciate you joining us, sharing your story with us. For everybody who tuned in and listened, thank you very much. Todd, any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
Just want to say thank you for your time. Go Huskies and go Yotes.
All right, there we go. Everybody, you can stream us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all those good streaming sites. As always, me, Barry, and Patrick talking the early week. We have player guests. It's a whole spiel. Tune in, enjoy it. It's great stuff. Todd, thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week.